Hey guys, it's me Devin, and today I have my top 10 books of 2014. Now I know a lot of booktubers tend to do the top 14 of 14 or the top 13 of 2013, but I only read 35 books, which isn't a lot. What I did was I just picked the top 10, that way it's a little bit more condensed on my favorites. And yeah, I was going to do a top 5, but I couldn't narrow it down enough, and I didn't want to say, oh, you're an honorable mention, and this one's an honorable mention. No, because all these books I really loved. So let's get started. Now these are in no particular order, so I'm just going to pick randomly from the pile I have here on my bed, and we'll get started. Sorry about the crappy lighting. I can only use the lights from my ceiling fan because it is rainy and gray outside, so that's why it kind of looks weird, and the white balance might go off, but just deal with it. Hopefully the sun will come out soon, or I can get some really good lighting soon. So my first book of my top 10 2014 has to go to Goodbye Rebel Blue by Shelley Coral. Now, I got sent this arc when I won a giveaway at the very beginning of this year. This did come out back in 2013. So yeah, this is a cute contemporary novel. I'm going to read the back because it definitely describes it way better than I could. The tagline says, "Rebel has always marched to the beat of her own drum. So what happens when she tries to step into someone else's tune?" And this is so going to mess up my white balance, but who cares? Rebecca Blue, a free spirit with an attitude, doesn't have anything in common with perky, selfless Kennedy Green, except for they happen to be suffering from the same detention that day. But when it turns out to be Kennedy's last day on Earth, Rebel, as she's known, decides to complete the dead girl's bucket list to prove that choice, not chance, controls her fate. And it's basically, she's trying to step into the selfless girl's shoes, do everything that's on her list, and she comes out finding different things about herself she didn't quite know. You know, of course there's going to be a little romance, falls in love with a boy, and it's a really cute book. I didn't know if I'd really enjoy it because I'm not much of a contemporary girl, but it was a really good book. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and I actually own this author's second book, which I will be getting to very soon. So I think you guys should definitely pick this up. I haven't seen this around lately. The second book should come as no surprise because it's by one of my favorite authors, and that is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a YA version of the show Criminal Minds. Basically, our main character, Cassie, is working her waitress job one day, and this guy comes in and offers her some sort of job with like the FBI kind of thing, saying that she has special talent. She finds out her ability is known as a profiler. So when she joins this program, she realizes that she's not the only one with these kind of abilities. There's a guy named Michael who's a very sarcastic guy who's really good at reading facial expressions. And then there's another girl who's really smart and kind of remembers every little detail. And then there's Dean, who is also a profiler like her, but doesn't really socialize with everybody. And then her and this team are thrown into this murder case that kind of reminds her of what happened to her mom, and all this stuff goes on. And it's got a little bit of a love triangle, but, you know, it works. But this is a really, really good book. I love Criminal Minds. So if the idea of profilers and Criminal Minds doesn't get you, I think the main character, Dean, I definitely think he, once you read this, will throw you right into this book. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, of course, because all these books in my top 14, in my top 10 have 5 stars. So I think you guys should definitely pick this out. So the third book in my top 10 of 2014 goes to The One and Only Ivan by Katherine Applegate. I read this back in May or beginning of summer. Basically, this is about a gorilla named Ivan who lives in this somewhat type of zoo enclosure thing with him, and there's an elephant, and then I think there's a little dog that lives with him too, but they don't know he's there. And it's a really run-down, beaten-up place, and it's told through his perspective. So the sentences are really chopped up because he doesn't speak like a human. He's just speaking ape. And there's also this little girl who's really cute. Then there's this little elephant that comes into play. I think her name's Ruby. But I didn't know how much emotion would come out of me when I read this. Like, just one of the lines having to do with the type of ashtray there was. And when you read it, you're just like, that's a little graphic for a kid's book. But then again, it's not. And I cried, I laughed, I got mad so many times, and you're just going to fall in love with these characters from like the first 20 pages. It's an amazing book, and I definitely think you guys should check this out. So book 4, my top 10, definitely goes to The Amulet by Kabu. Technically, this goes to the whole series, but I didn't want to put the whole series in it. This was definitely one of my favorite ones of the series. There are 6 books out. These are a middle grade graphic novel series with really amazing pictures and an amazing storyline. I love this book so much. Let me see if I can show you. Look, there's a little bunny. Their sidekick is a robot bunny. It's so freaking cute. And I think everybody should pick this up. It's about a girl who, through certain circumstances, finds herself thrown into an alternate world. And she's some sort of... And she has these powers that she doesn't know. She's got to rescue people and kind of save the day type of thing. It's a really good story, and I think you all should pick it up. So definitely pick this one up. So book 5 would definitely have to go to a surprise for me this year, and that is Therithmatist by Brandon Sanderson. I wasn't sure what I'd think of this book. I've heard so many good things about Brandon Sanderson, but I wasn't sure if I'd like it because it's a high fantasy type of book, and I haven't read many of those. So I decided to give this a try because this is what I describe as Chalk Zone meets Pokemon. Basically, you have these students who are called Therithmatists that have the ability to draw things with chalk that'll come to life. And they kind of duel like you would in Pokemon, one person versus another. And they draw these barriers, and they draw these circles that are their barrier, and they draw these little chalk monsters, which are their things that they use to attack. And inside the book, there are a bunch of pictures. Let me show you a picture. Like, these are what they use to defend themselves, these little things. These are some of the chalk monsters that they draw. Some dragons, some knights, some unicorns. Some really cool things, and the story was amazing. I think you guys should definitely pick this up. If you haven't read anything by him, pick this one up first. It's a really, really great book because it's kind of middle grade, kind of YA. So 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely love this book. This next book goes to Partials by Dan Wells. This is a post-apocalyptic novel about a world where we created these things called partials to help us out in a world war. And then after we won the war, the partials turned on us. Now these partials are like genetically engineered humans. So they part human, part robot. And they turned on us and dwindled our numbers to like maybe 30,000, 10,000. They don't know exactly because it takes place on the island of Manhattan. But they basically destroyed us, and they ended up leaving behind this virus that kills infants within like a week of living, not even. So no babies can survive. So there's no possible way to get the population back up if none of the babies are surviving. So the main character, Kira, which is one of my favorite female characters ever, she's so strong-willed, she knows what she wants and she goes after it. She is a medical student, and she basically goes on the search to try to find a cure for this disease that is running through everybody's blood that's causing these babies to die. She meets this partial who kind of changes her view on things. It's a really, really good post-apocalyptic book. There are so many good quotes from it. It's a really, really good book, and I really think you guys should pick it up. Book 7 in my top 10 goes to 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. This is a contemporary novel about a girl who commits suicide, leaves behind these cassette tapes that basically tell her story on the 13 reasons why she committed suicide. And there are 13 reasons, and there are 13 people who played a part in her deciding to commit suicide. And it is told from one of the boys. It's told from a boy who liked her. I think his name's Clay. And he listens to these tapes, and you kind of learn her story and what happened to her. And it really is an emotional book. There are some parts that you're like, that wasn't that bad, where you didn't need to do this, or you could have just done this and you wouldn't have so much pressure or weight on your shoulders. But, you know, as a teenager in high school, even middle school nowadays, people are feeling so many different reasons why to commit suicide. And I think every single kid or high schooler should read this book just to see how much of an impact they have on other people. A 5 out of 5 star book. And if you're going to read this, pick up the audiobook. It basically is like you're listening to her cassette tapes, and it makes it so much better. It immerses you into the story, and it's amazing. So go pick this up. The next book goes to Asunder by Jodi Meadows. I read the first 2 books in her New Souls trilogy. The first one's Incarnate, and this is Asunder. And out of the 2, they were both really good, but I love the action in Asunder so much better. The character development and the character relationships are amazing. If you know what this is about, it's about a girl who is a new soul. Now, in the society she lives in the world, everybody reincarnates after they die. So, one day you could be a 30-year-old wife who gets shot from a robbery. And when you get reborn, you could be reborn as a boy and live in the countryside instead of the city or whatever. So everybody is reborn. It's a non-stop cycle of reborning. No one really dies. No one's spirit or soul really dies. And she's a new soul, which means she's never been reborn before, and they look down on that in her society. She's an outcast. No one likes her. Then she figures things out. She meets a boy named Sam. I love Sam. OTP in this book. OTP. But their relationships, this world is just so amazing, and I think everybody should pick this up. Book number 9 goes to a read I didn't really think I'd enjoy because it's about angels, but it blew me out of the water. I loved it. And that book is Unearthly by Cynthia Hand. It's about a girl who is 1/4 angel, I believe, and when you're an angel, you have this purpose that you find out when you're the age of 16, and it's the reason why you're an angel. And her purpose seems to be to save this boy from a fire, and the whole story is about her trying to figure out how to save the boy and why this boy and all this stuff. It's an amazing read, and I think if you guys haven't found a good angel book yet, I would definitely pick this one up. It seems to be one of those books that if you don't like angels, you like them after this book, or at least you like this book. So go pick that one up. And the last, but definitely not least, book in my top 10 goes to my favorite, I think, series / book of the entire year. And that goes to The Bitter Kingdom by Ray Carson. The Bitter Kingdom is the 3rd and final book in the Girl, Fire, and Thorns trilogy. It is a fantasy novel, and it is amazing. It's about a girl who was chosen by God to have this stone inside of her belly button, and it kind of gives her, she's supposed to have some sort of amazing destiny, and the whole novel is her trying to figure out, what was she put on Earth for, and there's an awesome romance. This series is just my favorite. It is amazing. My favorite OTP, I think, is in this as well, and it's just amazing. As you could tell, maybe you can't, oh, there you go. I have a ton load of little sticky notes on the inside that basically shows everything I loved, and if you guys haven't picked this up, please, please, please pick it up. If you're going to pick up any book, pick this one up or Incarnate by Jodi Meadows. Those are my top 2 books of 2014. So yeah, loved this. Love this. Alright, so that's all for my top 10 2014. I hope you guys had a great year. If you've read any of these books, leave a comment in the comments saying what you thought about it, if you liked it, if you didn't like it. And yeah, I will be doing a new video soon, so I hope to see you then. Happy readings. Bye.